Hello everyone, in this video we're going to go through some math SAT questions together. I'm going to read the question and get right into the solution, but if you'd like to try solving some on your own, feel free to pause as needed. Okay, so first one, we want to find 10% of 470. 10% is the same thing as 10 over 100 or 1 over 10, so we want to find 1/10 of 470. And 1/10 is the same as just dropping a 0, so 1/10 of 470 is going to be 47. The next one, we have the equation 4x plus 6 is equal to 18, and we want to know which equation has the same solution as the given equation. So if we look at all our solutions right here, we can notice that they're all in terms of 4x is equal to a constant, which tells us that we want to manipulate our equation so that it's just in terms of 4x on one side and a constant on the other. So what we need to do is isolate 4x. So if we subtract 6 from both sides, minus 6 and minus 6, then we get 4x is equal to 18 minus 6 is 12. So now we have 4x isolated right here. So we can see that the answer is C. Next one, we know the total cost in dollars to rent a surfboard is a $25 service fee and then a $10 per hour rental fee on top of that. And a person rents a surfboard for T hours and they want to spend a maximum of $75 to rent the surfboard. We want to find which equality represents this situation. Our base fee is going to be $25. And then our rate is going to be $10 per hour. So no matter what, once we rent the surfboard, we're going to pay $25. Whether it's 0 hours or 10 hours, we're going to give the guy $25 at the start. Then on top of that, if you rent it longer, you're going to pay more. So we're going to add our hourly rate. So an additional $10 for every hour that we rent this surfboard, right? So we start out with 25, and then the longer you rent it, the more you're going to pay. Every hour you're adding on $10 more. And then our budget is 75. So we want a max of $75. So we want this, the amount that we spend, to be less than or equal to 75. So our answer is going to be D. Next one, so we have a function g of x is equal to x squared plus 9. And we want to know for which value of x is g of x equal to 25. So all we have to do here is here's our second equation. We have g of x is equal to x squared plus 9 up here, and then g of x is equal to 25 down here. So all we have to do is, since g of x is equal to both of these, we can equate these two equations. So we have 25 is equal to x squared plus 9, and then if we subtract 9 from both sides, you end up with 16 is equal to x squared. And then if we square root both sides, we get the square root of 16 is 4, which is equal to x. So x is going to be 4, so our solution is going to be A. In number 5, we're dealing with a fair 14-sided die. Every side is labeled with a different number, 1 through 14, the different number on each face. We're going to roll this die one time, and we want to know what the probability is of rolling a 2. So recall that the probability of any event is just going to be the number of desired outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. So in this case, we want to know the probability that we roll a 2. So we have to consider what our desired outcome is and our possible outcomes. So our possible outcomes is going to be 14 because it's a 14-sided die. And then we want to know how many 2's are on this die. Well, it has 14 sides, and we have the numbers 1 through 14, which each show up once. The number 2 only shows up once, so our probability of rolling a 2 is 1 over 14, which is going to be A. Number 6, we have a printer producing posters at a constant rate of 42 posters per minute. We want to know the rate at which these posters are produced per hour. Okay, so we need to do a little unit conversion. So we have 42, this is posters per minute, and we need to convert this into hours. So we'll start here. So we need to find how many minutes are in an hour. So there's 60 minutes in an hour. So we have 60 minutes is in 1 hour. And then when we multiply this out, our minutes are going to cancel, and we are left with 42 times 60 posters over 1 hour, which is equal to 42 times 6, and then we can just add a 0. So 2 times 6 is 12, carry this 1, 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25, and then recall that 0 from earlier, so our answer is going to be 25/20. On number 7, we have a function f that's defined by the equation f of x is equal to 7x plus 2. We want to know the value of f of x when x is equal to 4. So all we have to do is plug x into this equation and then evaluate. So f of 4 is going to be equal to 7 times 4, because we substitute that x in, that 4 in for x, plus 2. So then we get f of 4 is equal to 7 times 4 is 28, and plus 2. So f of 4 is equal to 30. For number 8, our teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of questions worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. Which equation represents the situation where x represents the number of 1-point questions and y represents the number of 3-point questions? So let's just write this out. We have x is the number of 1-point questions, and y is equal to the number of 3-point questions. Okay, so we want an equation for the total number of points, which means we need to account for how many questions there are of each type, so that would be x and y, and then how much each question is worth. So since our x questions are just worth 1, we'll have x, number of 1-point questions, times their value. So that'll give us the total amount. This would be the points from 1-point questions. Then we want to add to that the total amount of points we get from our 3-point questions. So that's going to be y, which is the number of 3-point questions, times the value, which is 3. And this will be the total points from all of our 3-point questions. And then since the assignment is worth 70 points, this all needs to be equal to 70. So looks like that is answer choice D. X plus 3y is equal to 70. Okay, so number 9, we have right triangles LMN and PQR, which are similar, and L and M correspond to P and Q respectively. And we know that angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. We want to know the measure of angle Q. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw these. We have, this will be our first triangle, LMN, and then our second one PQR will be similar. So that just means that it has the exact same size, is the exact same shape, but just a different size. Okay, so L and M and N, I can at least do the angles in pink on PQR. So L corresponds to P, so this will be P, and then M corresponds to Q, so this will be Q up here, which means that N corresponds to R. Okay. So this is just an example. I could have drawn these triangles any way I wanted, but the only thing that's important is that they have the same shape. So these sides are going to be, see, this side length here will be proportional to this side length over here. They won't be the same, but they'll be proportional to each other. And that will be the same proportion as this length to this length, and this length to this length. And the other key thing here is that all of these angles will be the same as their counterparts. So angle L will be the same as angle P, angle R will be the same as angle N, and angle M will be the same as angle Q. Those will all be the same. So because angle Q, because angle M is equal to 53 degrees, we know that angle Q is also going to be 53 degrees because, as per the question, they correspond to the same angle on the triangles. The triangles are similar, so the angles are the same. So our answer is going to be B. Number 10, we have a system of simultaneous equations. There's a solution, which is x comma y, and we want to know what the value of x is. Okay, so let's rewrite this. We have y is equal to negative 3x, and 4x plus y is equal to 15. So we could solve this set of equations two different ways, either with substitution or with elimination. I personally like to do substitution, and this is also pretty easy because this y is already isolated in this top equation right here, so it's going to make it really easy to just plug that in for y in the second equation. So let's do that first. So we have 4x plus, and then I'll plug in for y here. So instead of y, we're going to get negative 3x, and then our 15 is unchanged. So now we have 4x minus 3x is equal to 15. So we get x is equal to 15. So the answer should be C. And if we wanted to be extra sure and double check, we could also try and do this with the elimination method. So let me write this again. We have y is equal to negative 3x up here, and 4x plus y down here. Now if we subtract these two equations from each other, we get 0 minus 4x, which is negative 4x. We get y minus y is equal to 0, and negative 3x minus 15. Now we add 3x to both sides. We get negative x is equal to negative 15, so x is equal to 15. So we get the same answer. Okay, so number 11, we want to find which of the following equations is the most appropriate linear model for the data shown in the scatter plot. Okay, so linear has us thinking line, so our line is going to be in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So let's look at what our line might look like and try and pick appropriate values for the slope and for the y-intercept. So our line is going to look, we just draw on here, going to look something like this. Okay, so it looks like we have a y-intercept of about 10, positive 10. So b is going to be positive 10. And let's look at our slope. So are we going up or we're going down? As we increase in x, our y is going down. So our slope is going to be negative. So let's see, m is going to be negative. And then we don't even need to calculate what our slope is because these values are all the same. So we can actually just kind of process of elimination our answers. So we know that our y-intercept is positive and our slope is negative. So our answer is going to be B. Number 12, we have the graph of this function y equals f of x, where the function f is defined as ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, where a, b, c, and d are all constants. We want to know for how many values of x does f of x equal 0. Okay, so we have f of x equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Now, there's two ways we could do this. We could just do this by inspection, just by looking at the graph. And so that would get us, so here's 1 at -1, there's 1 here at x equals 4, and there's 1 here at x equals 7. So you can see that happens 3 times, so the answer is going to be C. Another way you could think about this is if you just look at the function, you can see the highest power of the function is going to be 3, which means that there are 3 roots, and a root is just a solution for the equation where it's equal to 0. So if this had been, you know, x to the 8th plus x to the 6th plus x to the 7th, same thing, you just know that there'll be 8 roots. So it'll cross the x-axis 8 times. Okay, number 13. Vivian brought party hats and cupcakes. She bought them for $71. Each package of party hats cost $3 and each cupcake cost $1. If she bought 10 packages of party hats, how many cupcakes did she buy? Okay, so our total is going to be 71. Oops. Total is going to be $71. And this is going to be equal to the amount we spent, let's see, number of dollars on hats plus dollars on cupcakes. And then we can break these down into quantity of hats times the price per hat and the number of cupcakes times the price per cupcake, because that'll get us the total amount we spent on each, and then we want that total amount to be 71. Okay, so each package of party hats costs $3, so that means this would be 3, and each cupcake cost $1, so that would be, this is 1, that's the price per cupcake. And then we also know that she bought 10 packages of party hats, so the number of hats would be 10. And then we don't know what our number of cupcakes is, so we'll just call that X. But we do know that all of this, when we add it together, is equal to 71. So if we rewrite our equation a little bit more concisely, we get 71 is equal to 10 times 3 is 30 plus X. Subtract 30 from both sides. 71 minus 30 is equal to X, or X is equal to 41. And I'm just realizing now that a lot of these, not a lot, but some of these questions don't have answer choices, which is kind of interesting, but it's okay. We don't need them.